Hi guys, welcome. I hope I can be heard very clearly today. All right, we are ready to go today. Who's live? Who is live? I'm ready to wrap up this our series so far. It's been an amazing journey, and this is going to be for like 25 minutes thereabout, and we are out of here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're just joining, this is David Obino right here, and I'm excited to be with you, and I'm excited to bring this series that we have started to a landing. It's going to be an amazing time today. It's going to be an amazing time today. What I'm going to be sharing, all I've been sharing actually, is inside my book, Academic Success Blueprint. I hope you can be seen very clearly. Yeah, Academic Success Blueprint. And today specifically, I just want to share very freely from a particular chapter of the book as we talk about how to prepare and excel in exams. So yeah, this is a chapter, and that's what I'm going to be talking to you about. How do you excel? How do you prepare and excel in an examination? That's the conversation we're going to be having. All right, yesterday, if you followed us very keenly, you will hear me make a statement where I say that exams are easy if you prepare for it. Exams are easy if you prepare for it. Exams are not hard. The only exams that are hard are those exams that the examinee did not prepare adequately for. In attaining excellence, we cannot override the place of proper preparation. Preparation is necessary, preparation is important to you achieving excellence. And so, same with exam. If you're going to excel, you must prepare, and you must prepare properly. So when it comes to exams, there are two sides to it. There is the preparation side, that is before the exams, what you do in order to get yourself ready to write and to pass the exams. And that is what we call the preparation side. The preparation has to be adequate, but that's one side, the preparation side. Now, the second part when it comes to excelling in exam is the approach side. This is what you do in the exam proper, not before the exam, but what you do now you're in the exam hall, how you approach the question, what you do while inside the examination hall. So these are the two sides we're going to be discussing about. So let's start with the first, adequate preparation. I'll give you 3-4 steps with which you could prepare adequately for an exam. Of course, preparing for an exam basically means how you study for an exam, right? By now, you should have gone through the classes you needed to do all that you needed to do over the time before you are coming to this exam. You wouldn't be talking about preparing in terms of study if you have not attended classes over time, taking your test and continuous assessment and every other thing you needed to do. Okay? So we are saying prepare upon the premise that you have done what you needed to do. So adequate preparation, the first step in adequately preparing for your exam as you study for your exams is to study in line with the course outline. As you prepare to face any exams, study for that exams in line. Study not haphazardly, study not sporadically or randomly, but study strategically by studying with the outline of the course. This is usually for university students. If it's for external exams, study with the syllables, the area of coverage, the places you know that they are going to ask this exam for. Study in line with that. Study in line with the course outline. It's funny how students are reading for exams and they pick up their textbooks or a textbook and start reading from cover to cover randomly. That is not a wise thing to do. It may be equal to wasting your time studying. So the smartest and the best way or thing you could do is to find out the course outline, the area of coverage of the entire subject or course. Look at where the topic they're going to cover and do your study according to that. That will help you prepare adequately. The reason you don't just pick a textbook and read randomly is because not everything inside some textbooks are relevant, especially in Nigerian universities. Not everything that is noted in the lecturer's textbook is important for you. So you will be wasting time and energy and effort reading from cover to cover of the textbook. Just go find the course outline and do your reading and preparation according to the outline. How do you get the outline? You could meet senior colleagues. Students have been there before. The lecturer most likely has given the outline to you before the course of your study. The second idea or tip which I'll give to you in terms of preparing adequately for your exam, the second of the thing I propose that you should do is to get study partners or engage in group study. Get people of like mind, and this you should do way before your exams. While you're studying, while you're learning for the semester or so, you ought to have identified people of like mind, people who share the same motivation and passion as you to do well academically, so that you can merge with them and together you could prepare for your exams. Now, I understand that some persons are lone readers. That is, they prefer and easily assimilate when they do their studies on their own or when they read alone. However, there is a place for engaging other minds in study. When you bring other minds together, some places that you may be getting some concept wrong or mixing it up, you are able to find correction. There is strength in synergy. There is strength in synergy. There is strength in coming together. So another advantage of coming together or in terms of having group study to prepare for your exam is accountability and discipline. So left for you alone, you could tell yourself, oh, I'm going to be studying this number of time. I'm going to be studying in this manner. You set a goal for yourself. But because it's just you, you can't beat yourself. So whether you keep to that or not, you are not going to have any consequence for it. But with a study group, they are going to hold you accountable. If you say, come out by 6 o'clock, let us read till 8 o'clock, they're already there. So they're going to keep you accountable. And that's going to help you do very well. Studying with a group facilitates understanding, right? We learn more sometimes when we try to teach that which we want to learn. So your group could be that platform or forum where you share what you've read in your own personal time in a bid for you to share it for members of your group. You could even learn more. Sometimes what I do when I was in school was that we could apportion topics. So after getting the course outline, and they say there are like 8 topics that we are to cover there. So say, and we are 4 of us. You read 1, 2, you 3, 4. Like that. We just apportion it amongst ourselves. Not that we will not still read that, but it just makes the work easy. So you go and just study this straight, come and educate us and teach us on this, and then these other persons go do the same thing and teach, and by so doing everybody learns and we're able to cover the chapters so very quickly. We're able to cover the outline so very quickly. Okay, so the third factor in preparing for your exams is to attend exam prep classes. Attend examination preparatory classes. I cannot overemphasize this. There's a lot, let me tell you. Especially those of you, for instance, who are writing JAMB and have left secondary school a year or 2 ago. Your brain must have gotten off the what I call learning condition. Your brain is no more in what I call the learning condition. So you have left school a year, you have left school 2 years ago. The smartest thing for you to do to bring back your mind into learning position and learning zone is to join a tutorial group or a tutorial class, especially the paid one, right? There's a lot you would not as easily understand or assimilate except somebody teaches you. No matter how brilliant you are, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter the intellectual potentials or capacity that you possess, there's a lot of stuff you alone studying by yourself may not understand. Clarity and understanding, therefore, will come when another person teaches you. And usually, you don't find such stuff for free. You are going to pay to get that. You are going to pay to get that teaching. So those are the tips that I will give you in preparing properly or adequately for your exams, right? There are other tips, but they're right here in the book. If you find yourself a copy, you're going to get them all. So now let's go to the approach. Let's go to approach. So we talked about the fact that there are two sides to excelling in exam. There's the preparatory side, which happens before the exams, and there is the approach side, which happens while you are in the exams. I have about 8 or 9 points right here. I'll just see how many I can give you. I spent 11 minutes so far. Remember, we are having this discussion upon the premise or a continuation of what we said yesterday, that exams are not hard if you prepare for it. Exams are easy if you prepare right for it. Exams are easy if you approach it correctly. It is upon that premise that we are discussing how then to prepare, and then how to approach examination. So the first tip in preparing for exam, approaching, your exam is to take note of the number of questions to be answered. Simply put, take cognizance of the instructions of the exams. This is very, very critical. A lot of people approach exams and immediately get the question paper. The first thing they want to do is to start answering the questions in the exams. And that's a very bad thing to do. The very first thing you want to do upon receiving that, of course, need I say that you need to do away with unnecessary things that will implicate you or distract you from the exams. I mean, from the onset, you didn't plan to do exam practice, so nobody should tell you that you should take that off. Follow all the proper exam protocols for that particular exam. And this could also apply in international exams, right? Whatever kinds of exam. Once it's a test and there's a paper given, or it could be digital too, the first thing you want to do is not to approach and start writing. The first thing you want to do is to go read the instructions of that exam. For how long is that exam going to last, right? For how many questions are you expected to answer? Which of the questions is compulsory? And because those ones that are stated as compulsory usually has a very, very high mark. So do this, like analyze what the instruction of the entire exam is before you even start. Take note of that. This is important because if you don't, you may forget along the line and either do less of what is required of you. If you don't pay attention to the instruction, you do less of what is required of you. Second thing, make sure you put all your credentials where necessary, especially pen and paper exams. Put your name, put your matriculation number or means of identification. Do those things before the exam. Do it before you will start. The reason is that if you just go ahead and start without doing those things, there could be pressure mounted on you to stop ahead of time or stop before time and all those stuff, and you forget to put those important things. So put that even before you start. The next tip I want to give to you is to make sure that you abide by the instruction of the particular exam question. Make sure that you abide by the instruction of the particular exam question. This is different from looking at the entire instruction of the exams. oh, don't do this, don't do that, take this off, answer number 5, answer 3. This is the instruction of the entire exams. Here I'm saying, make sure you take heed to the instruction of the particular question that you want to answer. Supposing it's an essay exam, for instance, and they say mention. Another question says discuss. Another question says define. Another question says elucidate. These are words of instructions. Students fail because they don't even pay attention to the instruction of a particular question, and they don't take heed. So a student is seeing discuss the concept of XYZ, and to his mind, he thinks it's just to define it. And so the student just defines and run away. The student just defines and run away because he didn't pay attention to the instruction of that particular question which he wants to answer. The instruction says discuss, elucidate, and those are words that means that you should explain. Listen to this now. Whenever you have questions like analyze, examine, elucidate, evaluate, discuss, explain, describe, expatiate, all these are instructions that basically mean explain in details. Explain in details. Explain the meaning of the concept, the definition of the concept, the types, the various, explain in details. Whenever you see instructions like that, whenever you see words like list, itemize, mention, identify, state, highlight, enumerate, outline, these are just for you to mention. These instructions are not for you to elucidate. These are not instructions for you to explain too much. Just go straight to the point. Enumerate, a number, make a number, so and so. Just number them. List, you don't have to explain. So you see students, where they say list, they go and start list explaining. Where they say elucidate, they go and list. Part of the test or what they want to measure in an exam is your ability to pay attention to and take heed to instructions. Your ability to pay attention to and take heed to instructions. All right, let's go back to other tips that you should pay attention to. So attempt your best questions first. So quickly scan through the question, take note of the numbers you're supposed, the number of questions you're supposed to answer, and start with your best first. Put your best foot first. What this will do to you is that it will make your work, your paper, have a goodwill from whoever would mark that. So once you start with what you know first, it presents to the examiner that this person is intelligent. It gives a first impression and perception of the examiner that you are intelligent and you know what you're doing, and that perception or impression could affect his assessment or his view of your performance in subsequent questions you're answering. So start with your best first. Starting with your best first, another thing it will do for you is that it will boost your morale. Once you see yourself flowing and writing and doing properly well, it will just encourage you and boost your morale to carry on. Another tip I want to mention is to take cognizance of compulsory questions. Take cognizance of compulsory questions. I said that from the beginning. Make sure that you take note of compulsory questions. You don't have to start with compulsory question first, but make sure you take note that certain questions are said to be compulsory and come back and make sure you attempt it. Take cognizance and attempt compulsory questions. The last and final that I want to talk about is your handwriting and your presentation. Your handwriting and your presentation. This is an idea. Make sure your handwriting is as much as possible good by arranging your scripts properly, sitting the right way, positioning your hands the right way, trying to use the right pen. Sometimes the product and type of pen that you use, if it's a handwritten exam, helps a lot for your handwriting. Also, in terms of presentation, I mean, how you write and present your work. If you are asked to list and explain something that, say, you have a 5 subheading, for instance, it's always sensible to make sure that you first of all list what you want to talk about before you go down to explain each of those things you have listed. Listen to this, for instance. Let us say five strategies of management, for instance, and there is number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. What people usually do is to say 5 strategies of management, assuming you're answering that question, and you say number 1, this, you explain. You go number 2, this, you explain. That's good, but it's not so good. Wisdom would demand that, say, they say that you should explain the 5 strategies of management. List the 5 strategies first. Number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5. Before you go on to say number 1, this is the explanation. What that does to you is that sometimes the lecturer don't have all the patience to check whether you actually got them all to the last number. But listing them already gives you a point. He just sees from start to finish your list that you got the items correct. That gives you a mark, and that saves you. Sometimes you don't have to read through all the things you explain. Just listing them and glancing through a few of them, you can get the mark for it. So guys, this is these are the few points I could share. Again, there are more of those points, but they are in here in this particular book. You know, if you get it, you're going to find that. Make sure you review your work. Make sure you review your work. Don't be in a haste to write and submit, especially when you are within the confines of the time that is given. Don't be in a haste to rush and go and submit. Make sure you sit back and look again. That's when you find out that sometimes, you didn't write the exact answer you're supposed to write, or you answered off point and you quickly correct yourself, or you mismatch a particular answer. So make sure you have time to review your work. Another tip I want to give to you, these ones are just coming right now. When you're writing your exams, especially essay exams, don't give enough spacing after each answer. Say you're answering 3 questions, that will give you a leaflet that has 6 pages. Instead of when you answer number 1, you just give 1 line, you immediately bombard number 2. When you answer number 1, give enough space, leave the remaining page, and go to a second fresh page to answer number 2. What this does for you is that, assuming you are reviewing your work and you find out that there are some points or things you need to talk about in addition to what you've already done, there is still space and chance in that part of the answer sheet for you to add all those ideas there. I've shared a whole lot. Let me give you another bonus one. Follow as you answer examination questions, especially for university students. Follow the preferences of your examiner. Follow the preference of your examiner. Bear in mind that exams are coming from your examiner, and so your examiner, his preference, his perspective plays a huge role in how he's going to mark those scripts and assess those scripts. So if you don't pay attention to his preferences, you may be doing yourself a big disfavor. So for instance, what do I mean by follow the examiner's preference? An examiner may like you to just write the answer straight to the point without adding some examples and explanations and side cases. Some persons prefer that. Once you start answering and citing cases, scenarios, and examples, it's like you're going off point. Once you write too much, especially without writing the main point first, they just assume you don't know what you're talking about, and that could affect you. So make sure you follow the preference of the examiner. How do you know the preference of the examiner? Some persons will ask. If you have been in class and you have followed the teachings from the semester and from the period of learning, you will know the thinking styles, the preference style. For instance, you stand up to answer a question in a lecturer's class and you start explaining too much. He says, go straight to the point. You know that this kind of man in exam, he would like you to just write and go straight to the point without blabbing. Another lecturer in class, you explain very briefly. You say, can you give more details? Can you elucidate? Can you expatiate? Can you give an example? You know that this lecturer has a pattern of wanting people to be very, very detailed. So let me say one or two things about multi-choice exam. But before that, let me give you a tip. I think I should just add this to the preparation side of exam. I failed to mention this tip, and it's very critical that I give to you. One thing you need to do in preparing. Remember, we said there's the preparation side and there's the approach side. One major critical thing you need to do in preparing is to prepare or to practice past questions. To practice past questions. I can't overemphasize the role of this. Escape my mind, so I'm giving it to you now as a bonus. As you prepare for your exams, prepare by practicing with past questions. It will help you a long way. You see, you're not the first person to write that exam which you're going to write. You are not the first person to take that exam. That exam you're taking is most likely not the first time that they will ever administer that exam. So it's wisdom for you to go do your research to understand what has been asked in regards to this exam prior to this time. How have they approached questions? What are the patterns like? Like, past questions are like prophecies and revelations of exams to come. Most times there is no new question, especially for exams like JAM, for exams like WAEC. One of the things that I teach my students during JAM, and I practice it myself, right? When I was trying to write JAM, I did like 2 times. I couldn't get the cut of mine. But when I understood the secret of practicing past questions, I spent time studying and practicing and practicing and practicing. By the time I saw the question, I think I did like 5 to 6 years backwards. 5 to 6 years backwards. Say if this was 2024, I started studying the past questions of the subjects I was going to take for JAM. I started studying what they wrote 2019, 2020, 2021. I was just studying back to back, repeatedly practicing it again and again. And lo and behold, most of them repeated themselves. Some just rephrased, but basically the same question. So practicing past questions is really, 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 really going to help you to perform excellently well. I hope that you have got value from this conversation. I hope that the ideas and the tips that have been shared freely here helps you to prepare well for your exams. And remember, for those who prepare well, for those who prepare and approach exams appropriately, no exam is hard. Exams are easy for those who prepare and approach it appropriately. There is a proper way to prepare and there's a proper way to approach. If you could do these two rightly, you're going to scale through and excel in your exams. I hope this was beneficial to you and it was an amazing section. This is David right here. With this, we call this series era. And until I come your way again, my name is David Ogina, and